Hello, podcast listeners. We know podcasts are a great way to catch up on a program that you may have missed on KSJE, and it's provided as a free service of this radio station. But you know, KSJE is now listener-supported, and so while you enjoy this podcast, we hope that you'll also take some time to join KSJE. Become a member today. It's quite easy to do. Just go to our website at ksje.com/support and pick the level of support that best matches your budget. Thanks again for listening. Here's your podcast. 11 minutes past 8 o'clock. It's Thursday morning, the 10th day of April, 2025. Good morning, everybody. I'm Scott Michlin. Thanks for tuning in to KSJE, 90.9 FM over the air here in San Juan County, New Mexico. In Durango, Colorado, we're broadcasting at 103.3 FM. And if you're listening to my voice anywhere else on the planet, well, you've gone to our website to do that, ksje.com. Welcome also to our viewers who are joining me this morning. The video of this program is streaming out live to the KSJE Facebook page and also to our YouTube channel. So welcome aboard, everyone. So glad that you're with us this morning, because coming up, we are getting an update about economic development from Tim Gibbs from Four Corners Economic Development. Stay tuned for that. Lots to talk about. So that's coming up in the next few moments right here on KSJE this morning. And then, of course, we'll be talking with San Juan College. There is an event coming up later on to help us commemorate Sexual Assault Awareness Month here in the month of April at San Juan College. That'll be coming your way today at 8:50 a.m. on KSJE. Mick Hess takes over the studio. Next hour, our classical music program, Roving with the Arts, begins at 9:06. And don't forget, you can also connect with us on X and Instagram in addition to Facebook and YouTube. And if you're a podcast person, you can find KSJE podcasts. They're available where you're already listening to podcasts. So check it out, subscribe, and maybe discover a new local program that you may have missed recently. Outside our studios here at San Juan College, it is a sunny Thursday morning, 45 degrees at the moment. We're expecting lots more sunshine today with a high of 76 in Farmington, 46 overnight. Warmer still tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies on Friday with a high of 79 degrees. Overnight low of 46. Partly sunny 79 again on Saturday. Partly sunny 73 on Sunday, cooling off to 69 on Monday, back into the lower 70s Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll be back with my guest to talk economic development and more right after this on KSJE. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center. The caregivers of San Juan Regional Medical Center are committed to bettering the quality of life, health, and care of individuals, families, and our communities. Life is their sacred trust. Better is their mission. Here is their home. San Juan Regional Medical Center, improving the health of the Four Corners since 1910.
Ahead, turn right.
Isn't it nice to have a little help getting where you're going?
Your destination is ahead and 300 feet.
When navigating life's challenges, the San Juan County Navigation Center can help you with navigating housing, navigating transportation, navigating medical providers, and more. Learn more online at sjcnavigate.net or call 505-636-7110. The Navigation Center, connecting to resources, empowering lives.
You have arrived at your destination.
Back at Studio A with my guest this morning, as I mentioned, from Four Corners Economic Development. Always great to catch up with Tim Gibbs when he's not flying somewhere or traveling somewhere or speaking to a bunch of people. Tim Gibbs is here with me in Studio A. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good to have you back and here. Appreciate you coming in. Lots to talk about. You've been busy. You just got back from Colorado Springs, you were telling me, huh?
Yeah, just last night.
Okay. Wow, that is just back. And so you were talking about space conference?
Yes, there was a space symposium. It's the 40th year they've had that in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And it brings together people from around the world.
Right.
To display and talk about the future of space, the commercialization of space, and companies that make that happen.
Interesting. And so for San Juan County, do we fit into maybe some of those conversations, or is it important for us to know, us meaning all of us here in the community, know what's going on in that conversation?
Well, there's a large space cluster in Colorado and in New Mexico. And
That's
most
true.
people know about the spaceport that's in Albuquerque, but there's 100, 200 companies in New Mexico that is focused on space exploration. In fact, Virgin Atlantic was talking about they hoped that in the next, and once again, timelines are made to be changed.
Sure, right.
But they were saying at that conference that in the next year and a half, they hope to be doing at least weekly flights
Okay.
into space from the spaceport in Albuquerque.
Nice.
So I mean, yeah, it's a large growing segment, and we're kind of halfway in between the two clusters of Colorado and New Mexico. And like most industries, the main thing they need is talent,
Right.
people. And when you break down the space components, you're building stuff. You need metal fabricators. You need
Right.
people to know how to weld, know how to wire, that know pneumatics, that
Right.
know AC, DC power. And those type of things we do in spades. So if you can find talent, if you can find opportunity, you can compete. So
Okay.
we were lucky enough to be invited to participate by the state of New Mexico, the New Mexico Partnership.
Got it.
They actually had a booth, so we had a home base there, and and from that we had some meetings, and even one company that we're working on recruitment for. So it was a good use of time. Now,
Sure.
Colorado Springs is one of those places it's kind of hard to get to, and it shouldn't be, because if our flight service hasn't started, I'm really excited about
No
that.
kidding, right? That's right.
May
Yeah.
May the 9th for
Okay,
everybody.
right. Direct flights to Denver from Farmington.
But so do you want to drive to Durango or Albuquerque and probably have to fly to Denver and still have to get a car to get to Colorado Springs?
Right.
So I just jumped in my handy dandy truck and drove. But it's 6 hours of my life each
Yeah, right.
direction.
That's
so
true.
I really am looking forward to when we have the flight service here at our airport, where we can take advantage of that as well.
Less than a month away.
Yeah.
That's true. Very true. But that means you had about 6 hours to think about this interview driving home.
At least I had about 10 minutes this morning anyway.
Okay, appreciate that. Very good. But that's exciting. And this happens, I think, in your world a lot of times when you get invited to go to places and talk about opportunities and things like that, whether it's a conference or a meeting or a trade show or other types of economic development gatherings.
Well, we're trying to expand our voice and to reach other audiences. We don't want to be a flyover location or a drive-through, or however it may be.
Right.
Because we have opportunity here in this community that we're trying, and we're just sharing to the world. And so many times when we sit down, site consultants drive projects. Companies will hire a company that
Right.
will help them lead the process of finding a new location. Site consultants will lead that process. And those site consultants are very good about finding the matrix of what it takes for a company to be successful. How close are you to their suppliers? How close are you to the people that you're selling your products to? What kind of people do you need? What kind of training do you need? What kind of infrastructure do you need to be successful? We need to get in front of many of those type people as possible to let them know about the opportunities here in this region.
Right. Right.
And so every time we're getting the opportunity, we are telling our story and defining the product that we have. We know our people, and we know our place. We know our buildings. We know our sites. Because you have one chance to make a first impression, and you're trying to represent the community the best as you can to show people that they can be successful here long term.
Right. Very true. Speaking of people, you are starting to get to know even more things about the people that are here with this workforce study that you are working on, right? And that's important, too, to be able to, I guess, if somebody calls you and says, hey, what kind of skilled folks do you have there, you could tell them.
And in general terms, people are looking for good employees. And even here, everyone's looking for
Sure,
good quality.
of course.
And there's no better incentives than someone that can do the job, make you money, and that's going to show up and be there for the next 10 years. I'm not saying that we're like Mayberry, because we're not. But we're a little bit more blue collar than a lot of places. And that's an attribute that we can sell and define. But by doing that, we have to know the skills that people have. I can go into a group of people here and say, how many of you know how to weld? And a lot of people raise their hand. Now, maybe they're not certified as a welder, but they know these skills. They either
the basics?
they learned it from osmosis from where their family or their dad or their grandfather worked at the mine or worked at the power plant and those type things.
Sure.
If we can quantify what they know, then we can show the skill sets to the world of what they can get here. And then what they can also learn at this college as well, how we can upskill these people, but they have a basis where they're going to show up, they're going to do an honest day's work, and they have some basic skills. So when our workforce is a little different, we're not trying to do a government report. We're trying to do something that we can use for the marketing of the people to the world.
Right.
So it's an economic development, workforce study, with a focus on marketing.
Got
to
it.
identify down to the next code level or the SOX code level, what do people know? And when you have people that's been displaced from these legacy employers, they have skills. And then we have people that's graduating from this institution. They have skills.
Right.
We want them to be able to stay at home and take advantage of those skills and build the new economy here.
Sure. And that's certainly more nitty-gritty, more in-depth, more detailed than just an unemployment rate or something like that of how many people are looking for work.
Or a workforce participation rate. Yeah, it's definitely, it's in the weeds a little bit, but if we get what they call an RFI or a PRO, which is an opportunity. It's
Request for information, those types of things,
for
right?
a company, we can turn it around in hours because we know what they're looking for and we know what we have.
You've got the data at your fingertips.
That's
Quite frankly, so there you go. Another study that you're working on too is a housing study to kind of talk about the housing stock here,
Yeah.
maybe the needs of the community as well. We hear about that a lot, about affordability and things like that.
And it's tough. It really is tough.
Right.
And there are holes in the market, from all the way from affordable housing up to even the top end of the market. There's holes and opportunities all along that. And that's one of the reasons why we want to do this study is we want to show the opportunities for builders. We want to show the opportunities for people that sells windows down on Main Street or whoever it may be of what they can do here to help build the housing stock that we have for we can have growth in this community. When you talk to the hospital, when you talk to some of the larger employers, it's an issue.
Right.
It's an issue
There are people
today.
can't find a place to live.
That's right.
Right.
I've been here a little over a year, and we had a tough time. I mean, the houses that I was looking at, and it's softened a little bit since a year ago. It has. But if I found a house I wanted, it was going to sell for asking or above. Now maybe there's a little bit more of a
Negotiation, maybe.
maybe, but the time on market was really, really short for nice houses
Right.
here or affordable houses here.
Right.
So we really need to identify where we are and where we need to be and what that gap is, and then hopefully show the market how they can take advantage of that. And it's really tough because
Sure.
there's so much inflation. There has been so much inflationary pressure in the marketplace. It's pushed the price of housing up quite a bit. And then we've got a factor too that's a nice factor, but it affects our market. And we got that little community to the north of us.
Right.
So if we're $200 to $300 a square foot to build a house, and they're $800 to $900 a square foot, the down valley effect is going to affect our markets too. Now, for me, it's good to have that community to the north and those attributes that it offers, and then the attributes we offer. It's 1 and 1 equal 3 towards building this economy and getting people to take a good hard look at us to want to come here and relocate here and be a part of this community. But it also has unintended consequences, and housing is certainly one of those things.
Sure. Well, and the idea of affordability is a completely different atmosphere north than it is here.
Average house in Durango is over $1 million.
Right. Yeah. That's way above my pay grade. So, yeah.
Mine as well.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, but it's an issue, and it's an issue I think that communities, not just Farmington and San Juan County, are facing across the country about the lack of supply. Right. I think it's that new housing stock that we need, whether it's apartments or single family houses or townhouses or whatever. I think there's a shortage of all of them in a lot of places, not just here.
And there's a lot of factors that play into that.
True.
I mean, uncertainty in the marketplace, the volatility in the marketplace, interest rates, federal policy. There's so many things that play into it on a macro level that has impact to us on Main Street here.
Right.
And we're the tip of the tail. So we have to understand where we are, try to position ourselves with the best information possible, and try to be able to help people make the economic case.
Right. Well, and as you say, if you're doing the study, maybe to try to find some local solutions, maybe some local builders who maybe want to take advantage of the opportunity, that's what you're looking at.
Yep, banks, everything else.
Yeah,
Yep.
all those things. So it makes a lot of sense to me. I wanted to ask you a bit about what's happening currently, and I know you kind of got to just pay attention or else things will change from minute to minute when it comes out of Washington or things like that. One is the talk of tariffs and things like that. Again, today, here we are, Thursday. Things have changed yet again. But it's still, if you're a business that does a lot of importing, you really got to pay attention to how things are going. Is there any advice you're giving to your members, or just to watch and be aware?
Well, I probably need to do as much listening from my members as it giving advice.
Okay.
I mean, because there's all different perspectives out there, and every one of these legs of industry is different.
Sure.
So their trade associations, their suppliers, their customers are all feeding into them, giving them knowledge as well. This is a hard gig, and I'm a government wonk. I truly have, and I can't imagine what the history will look like 20 years from now, looking back at this period, and the volatility of that. What I can say is volatility for business and industry is hard. I mean,
They don't like it. They don't like it, do they?
Yeah, I mean, and that's a simplistic statement.
Sure.
It's hard to plan.
Right.
I mean, if your profit margin is 10 to 15%, and some of the tariffs that we're talking about could be, quadruple that, there's no way you can plan for that. And then through that uncertainty as well is how long does things have to settle down before that you trust that that's the new normal?
Right.
Because you're making long-term financial commitments. You're not making 90-day commitments. You're not making a year commitment. You got a mortgage. So these things are difficult. Now, we're not political. We're just not. The organization, we dance with whoever brings us the ball. But we have to be very, very attuned to the politics of the day before you can position the community to try to take advantage of and have the best possible outcomes. I was in D.C. For a small conference about a month ago. Mm-hmm. We met with the Department of Energy, met with the newly appointed Deputy Undersecretary, Department of Energy, number 3 guy, Department of Energy.
Right.
Now, I can tell you, they have a playbook. They knew from day one, Department of Energy, what their priorities were and what they were going to do and how they were going to do it.
With the new administration.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So when we walked in as an energy-producing community and said, these are 6 things that we want you to be aware of and maybe partner with us on and give us guidance on, we were their BFF. I mean, it aligned very, very closely with what they were saying. Just yesterday, there was another executive order talking about prolonging coal-fired power plants.
Right.
Well, we've lost one. And the one that we lost was 1,500 jobs at $100,000 a year, at over $100 million a year in tax revenue.
Economic impact, yes.
Yes. Now we have another one. These are big things.
Mm-hmm.
These are big things that have large impacts to us. Now,
right.
It's not just, I know, there's a plan for that power plant going forward. It involves carbon sequestration, involves renewables. It involves a lot of different things, taking advantage of the fortes of this community and building an energy hub around what they're doing in a responsible way and what they can grow and do in the renewable space as well.
Sure. But the clock had been ticking for that other plan about 7 years out, and now maybe that timeline has changed.
Well, the ink is still wet.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen the word Four Corners generation, but I can read what they're talking about, and what we have, and I don't think this is debatable, is there is a thirst for baseload electrical generation. There's a lot of renewables that came on the market, a lot of affordable renewables is solar and wind, but they don't work very, very well for baseload power.
Right.
What happens when it's dark or the wind's not blowing? Batteries are only so efficient. So that's part of an answer, but
yes.
not. And with the growth of AI, which everyone's seeing every single day, there's going to be a need for additional baseload. So it's going to be hard to cut back on our base load and move completely to renewables until things change a little bit. So it puts us in a very unique position here. Mm-hmm. And once again, it puts us in a position where I think we can take advantage of some facets of the national economy to even have growth here again.
Right. Okay, I got you. And we know we have coal in the ground here, and mining and things like that. And so, again, I guess the idea is if you could maybe export that could be an exportable commodity. If we're talking about a freight rail line, that does well exporting things like coal, who knows? But I know we're a few years out at least, but that project is still going. That's a county-led initiative, but certainly Forset is watching it.
Oh, and we're very, very supportive of it.
Yeah.
And I think it would be... Certainly, there's an opportunity with if you have a coal with the conversation we're having today, potentially for new products,
right?
That would even make it easier, possibly, to build that line. I'm putting one in one and making a number more than that. But natural gas as well.
Yeah.
That's important, and it has been for 100 years in this community. The permitting,
Right.
with 95% of our land being federal land,
Right.
BLM is incredibly important.
And they just did something, right? They just opened up some new permits.
Well, we're
or
hearing
what
from
are they
some of our
doing?
members that permits are moving faster than they have in a long time.
Opening up new areas, I guess, for
Yeah.
potential development.
Yeah, from new wells. It may have taken a year or two, even longer, to get a permit. Just in the last 100 days, a lot of permits have been let here,
Right.
in the San Juan Basin, and also the Mancos, which is a little bit north of here, which affects us as well.
And that's dollars and jobs and things, right, for every well
It is.
that goes in, isn't it?
You can look at, as far as the economic impacts, and that's what I'm looking at here. I know there's other sides to it, but the economic impacts of each one of those wells, of those permits that's been let, is between $5 and $7.5 million. It's about 200 jobs. Now, they're not permanent jobs, but if you think about 800 sand trucks, if you think about the drilling operation, you think about the water operations, you think about all those pieces and parts, it does drive an economy. So if you're selling Ford F-250 pickup trucks, or if you're a restaurant owner, or anything else, or
Sure.
around this region, there's real economic impacts. And for each one of those wells that we mentioned, $5 to $7.5 million, and I'm speaking a little bit out of turn here, but I think there's been in excess of at least 30 permits let very recently, that's a lot,
Right.
and there may be a lot more than that coming.
Sure. A lot in this area
Yes.
recently because
Yes.
we haven't seen so much activity. Other parts of the state, different story.
Well, even everywhere, I think they're challenged, at least
Right.
with the federal permits on those. But GRT tax,
Gross
each
receipts.
one of those wells represents about $165,000 in tax revenue. Each one of those. So on top of being potentially a $5 million bill for the local community, for the government as well, it's $165,000
Right.
potentially per each one. So while the tectonic plates are moving underneath of us for policy right now, and there may be a dichotomy in policy between state and federal, an energy producing community that's somewhat aligned with many of the efforts that's going on here has the ability to take advantage of and to strengthen the economy.
Gotcha. You're watching it, obviously.
And working the best that we can to support, because these are drivers, these are employers, these are wealth generators for this region.
Right. Very true. My guest this morning, Tim Gibbs, is here. He is the Executive Director of Four Corners Economic Development. We are getting an update on some of the economic development projects and efforts Forsed is doing here in the region. One thing that we didn't talk about before the show, but I wanted to ask you a little bit about, I've noticed that there's a company that is installing fiber optic internet in Farmington and starting to promote that and do that. And you have talked about your efforts to enhance broadband connectivity and things like that. That's another economic development driver. So I would think that that's got to be a good sign, right? That private company is coming in and beefing up the infrastructure here when it comes to internet connections.
Well, and I want to be, there's hardly anything that happens in economic development that has one single person that says, we did this.
Okay.
It just doesn't work like that.
Okay, right.
It takes partnerships. If there wasn't the backbone of fiber that's been installed by Farmington Electric,
Already.
yes, in the city here.
Gotcha.
If there wasn't the work that had taken place by the county to also pull fiber and to give easy access to the right-of-ways and those type things, what we have is we may have the interstate, we don't have the exit ramps. So we've got,
When it comes to fiber internet.
yes,
I got you.
we do.
Right.
Now we have high-speed internet here, but most of it's cable. We don't have fiber to homes mostly, and we don't really. Most businesses don't have access to fiber to their business. Well, with the connectivity to the world that we have to have today, and what's coming even for tomorrow, with things like AI and quantum computing and those type things,
Right.
we need fiber. Now, Forsed, about a year and a half ago, this is BT. Before Tim,
Okay.
got a grant, a Just Transition grant to work on fiber. Now, we're not climbing poles, we're not stretching fiber, but what we have done, and we have Corey Nelson, who's our fiber expert, our communication expert, and what he's done, he's worked with players to identify what we have, where the gaps are. Once again, almost like the housing. This is the opportunity here.
Right.
We had a summit, a broadband fiber summit here this past summer. Had 300 people here on campus, including, ding, 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 a couple of the companies, one of which is getting ready to
That are now working on this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it wouldn't have happened without the investment
Gotcha.
of our municipalities and the county. There's certainly no doubt about that. There was a role that Forced played as well about providing information about the opportunity and the infrastructure that's in the ground or on the poles or whatever it may be. But because of this group effort that's happening here, people are going to have some more choices.
Right.
So if yes, you have high-speed internet, but do you have 500 megs up and 500 megs down for whatever it may be? I think it's $50. I mean, I could be wrong.
Right.
But it's pretty inexpensive, and it's symmetrical service. Same up is same down, and that's the slowest service they offer. Goes up 2 gig.
Right. And maybe for some folks listening to us, they may think, well, who would ever need something like that? But if you're a work from home, location neutral worker, and maybe you're doing film editing or video editing or some really bandwidth intensive jobs, that is probably going to be a life changer for you, a game changer for you.
Well, Scott, you probably remember 9600, 2400, the bomb rates.
Yes, I do. Of course
the
I do.
AOL or
Yes.
the CompuServe.
And you can't use the phone if you're online.
Yeah,
Come on, that's right.
and what I'm saying is, look how far we've came, but from where we started to where we are now,
Right.
and look at the progression
Oh, yeah.
of that you need for bandwidth.
Right.
It's how many people now are streaming their TV services?
Right.
How many people? I mean, it's just how many people?
Or maybe multiple
Yeah.
throughout the house, right?
Yeah. What if you're? Yeah. I know someone that was taking care of an elderly parent. They have camera
Right.
because they want to be there 24/7, but there's times they can't be.
Of course.
So they have cameras, a couple places in the house where they could see that everything's okay.
Yeah.
But to do that, guess what you have to have?
Right.
And so the applications for it and the change that we're going through now are massive.
Right.
And the AI revolution, and it truly is a revolution of what it can do and how it can do and what you're going to have to implement those type things. This is just as important. I can't say it's just as important as water, because you got to have water or you're going to not make it very long.
Yes, true.
But it is incredibly important.
Well, yeah.
It's another option for people, the consumers, to choose what's right for them,
Right.
and to position us to even not just walk along with other people, but maybe get a little bit ahead.
Sure. But again, as an economic driver, though, don't you think having that as another option to someone who maybe is looking at relocating with a location neutral kind of a job, but they need that certain, at least
They have to have it.
least
Well-
amount of connectivity that would help them maybe look at this community?
Here's an example. If you're a healthcare provider,
Yeah.
even if it's your family practitioner doctor, and you walk in and you say, "My knee's hurting. My knees hurt. I don't know if I've done something, but it kind of hurts." They can take a handheld scanner and scan your knee on the outside,
Yeah.
non-invasive, send that electronically, but you have to have ultra high-speed network to do it.
Right.
And they can look at every single part of inside of your knee to tell whether you have a tear, whether you have a sprain, whether you have arthritis, and they can do it in a doctor's office.
Right.
But you have to have that connectivity.
Some off-site specialist can look in real time at that scan, I guess, and dig into it.
And that's AI.
And let you know what's wrong. Yeah.
That's AI.
Yeah.
But yet it's dependent upon having the connectivity that you could use large amounts of data.
Right. True. And all of this, we should mention too, I think is part of this, we now have an interconnected kind of loop of connectivity. I think it goes from here up to Grand Junction and over to Denver and down. And so there's a loop. So if something's interrupted, we don't lose internet service. And I think that's by design too. There's redundant systems in place.
What was
Which is
the
good.
senator from Alaska, Ted? what was his name?
Oh.
Older gentleman.
Yeah.
But
With the tubes.
Yeah, he
The
famously
tubes.
described the internet as
Yes.
a series of tubes.
Yes, he did.
Of pipes.
That's
you know?
right.
Yeah.
Yes, but we have that. But some of us are old enough to remember, it was a Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, when somebody cut the connection on the internet between here and Albuquerque, and that was our only connection, and everything went down Black Friday in the retail mecca of
Well,
the
it
Four
was truly
Corners.
black, right?
It
Yeah.
was really black,
Yeah.
and folks were scrambling. But in any event, that's an old story, and that is BT before Tim as well. So there you go. Tim Gibbs, thanks for coming in this morning. We've run out of time, but I really appreciate you updating us on all the things, and there's more that we didn't even get to that you and Forset are involved with. But I know you all are working hard for the community, and appreciate it. And thanks for sharing.
Look, go to our site, Four Corners Economic Development. .com.
Mm-hmm.
There's a plethora of information.
Lots of stuff.
on people, on
Right.
sites, on news. You can request our newsletter. There's just a lot of great things if you want to know about the local economy, you want to be a part of it, or you want some help.
Right. Very good. True. That's true. Very true. Well, good to see you. We'll see you again next month.
Thank you.
If you're in town, we'll try. We're hopeful. Fingers crossed. Tim Gibbs, Four Corners Economic Development, my guest right here on KSJE. KSJE and the San Juan College Native American Center present the Student Study Tip of the Week.
Hello, this is Demetrius coming with you, the study tip of the week. While it may seem like a good idea to learn an entire semester's worth of information in one night, it's not an effective study habit, and it can cause a lot of unnecessary stress. Instead, study a little bit of information every day for at least 20 to 30 minutes. You'll likely remember more later, and you'll feel calm and prepared when it comes to exam time.
The Student Study Tip of the Week is presented by the San Juan College Native American Center and KSJE. Did you enjoy that podcast? We hope that you did. And if you did, share it with your friends. And if you really want to keep podcasts like this coming, please support KSJE. You can do it easily online at ksje.com.